It's always hard to win down here. What did you get out of that game, do you think, Sam?
Yeah, we haven't played here for a long time, so certainly it was hard for us today. I mean, they're a good side, and I've said in most of my press conferences, we're far from a finished product. And when you watch the very best teams play, that's what they look like. And even though we've had a good block of games, we've been playing some good footy, but I still think there's a gap from us and the teams at the top. And they were one of those today. They have been for a long time. You know, they got a lot of experience in that side, and they handled everything that we threw at them with relative ease. Obviously didn't handle the start of the game particularly well, and then they were too good to let us have a sniff at any stage to get back into it.
Obviously, the loss of Sicily was big in the sense that for 21 marks inside 50. What was your plan or hope going into the game to curtail that?
I mean, we don't really set the team up around individual players too much. That can be risky. Obviously, when you have someone of the talents and calibre of James Sicily, that's a matchup you're probably going to win most weeks. But I thought we struggled. We obviously turned the ball over far too easily. I think at 3/4 time they'd already had 26 front half turnovers and 13 shots on goal. I thought that they probably lacked a little bit of their goal kicking was a bit off, which was fortunate for us. So we felt like we sort of were in it for a long time, even though if you watch the game, we weren't close to their capacity today. So we didn't handle it, and I hoped that we would cover Sis as we have we did earlier in the year. But he's an important player for us, and we know he'll help us, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
You said there's still a gap between you and some of the top teams. What do you need to do or need to get into the club to reach that gap?
I mean, we talk regularly about the growth in our game for a couple of years. 2.5 years now, we've been working on what's the next step in our progression. We've had a really clear strategic plan, which has been well documented for a couple of years, and we know that making steps towards what we need to be able to produce at a high, consistent level. Sydney are still 2 games clear on top, I think. So they're the teams you need to knock off, and we're building towards that. And despite us winning a few games on the trot of late, I still looked at the best sides, Sydney, Geelong today, obviously, and you say, okay, we're working towards beating that on a consistent basis, and there's an enormous amount of things that go into that: player belief, confidence, personnel, system. There's 100 things that go into it, and that's the beauty of the game. And we're getting closer, but we're still a work in progress. Yeah, fair bit of blood, and he was a bit battered after the game and a bit sore and sorry for himself. But I haven't, other than to give him a bit of a hug and rub my head gently on his shoulder rather than his head. I haven't spoken too much about the medical guys. I'm not sure what's come out of the game just yet, but hopefully not too bad. He's probably a bit too courageous in that incident.
So I'm sure if he's in the concussion protocols.
I don't think so at this stage, but they'll continue. I just trust the doctors with that. They haven't said. I haven't spoken to the doctors yet, but I don't think they did. I don't think they did that at this stage, but we'll see over the next 24 hours, I guess.
I know you haven't spoken to the doctors, fair enough, but he limped off the ground. Obviously, he's had some issues.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So he had 2 ice bags on when I left the rooms. Then, I didn't. I thought it's better to go in here a bit naive than have to tell you what I know. So I actually don't know the answer. Time will tell.
Did you try and take a game? It felt like you tried to take a game on and probably created some of those turnovers. Was that what you were instructing the players to keep pushing that game? Because the ball was living in there for a half a bit.
Yeah, I thought, even though the clearance numbers perhaps look close, particularly in the first half, they really had some dominant sort of clearance play. They really set the game up well, and we struggled to get it in territory. And because of that, we had 2 options. One was go long and straight and try and shut the game down a bit, and the other one was try to open it up and play a little bit more flair. And we tried both. With obviously, as the game, we had a little bit of success doing one or the other, but they were too good for us. Structurally, they don't leave many gaps, and when you give them a 5-goal start, you're going to have to get on a run, and they were a bit too sharp for us today.
You struggled with that forward half pressure. Obviously, Jack Evan didn't play and Kalshadir as well. How much of a difference do you think those two made?
Yeah, I think defensively they're really sound. They generate an extra behind the ball regularly, and quite often teams can accept that because they know they can put enough front half pressure on. And we thought games at this ground are traditionally usually quite high pressure games, but they were able to get out of our pressure too easily today. And obviously, Kelsher and Jack are big pressure players, big part of what they bring. So we missed that a little bit today. We struggled to move the ball with any sort of cleanliness, and we weren't able to lock it in our front half anywhere near the way they were able to. So we had some challenges all over the ground. I think we can talk about every different aspect, but realistically, they were too good for us, and they're the sides that we're hunting down to be able to beat on a consistent basis.
There seemed to be a lack of communication at times with players spoiling each other or bumping into each other and going for marks. Is that just due to pressure from Geelong, or was it players dropping their head at the start of that one?
Yeah, it's always one of those, when a team is really humming, quite often you see one player mark and the other one's protecting, and sometimes when you try too hard, it's the worst thing. So, it's a fine line, and the players, it's a damn tough game. It's just such an easy game from the coach's box or the media box. You watch it and you say, oh, why didn't you spoil that, or why didn't you mark that one? But when you're out there, there's an enormous amount of noise and people yelling the whole time and players yelling lots of different things. So it's a much more difficult game, and when you're really in sync, in general, you make good decisions, and when there's a lot of pressure on you, decision making goes down, and it's the same in every game. And we know that we want to be a side that plays consistent high level football under any circumstance, and finals are all going to feel like that. So we know that we need to be a side that produces our best when the most is on the line, and today we didn't handle that today. We have on other occasions. I thought when Dusty kicked the first goal of the game against Richmond, I thought we settled and we were able to turn that game around quite quickly. But we didn't handle it as well today. So as I've said, a lot of times we're a work in progress, and we're always taking strides toward being the team that we want to be, and we're not there yet.
What you're working on at the moment, what do you think some of the main lessons might be from today? I think the belief in each other and consistency, and when to take risk and when not to. A lot of their goals came from our skill errors or decision-making errors, and I'm not one to criticise players in their. If you make a skill error and opposition get a goal out of it, it's just around education. They're not trying to turn the ball over. So how we can be a bit sharper in some of those areas and be, which are the risks worth taking, which ones aren't. But we got a bit of a lesson around the ball. I thought, I think statistically the game didn't look, if you read the stoppage numbers or you read the midfield possession or pressure count, they're quite similar. But watching the game, I thought their midfield was well and truly on top of ours. Last one, guys.
We get Ginnivan back or Ginnivan back or Sarah? Ginnivan or Sicily or?
They're all of those were 1 to 2 weeks, so they're all I would say they're all a test for this week. So hopefully we get all three back, but time will tell. We're not sure at this stage. I think they all did everything they could to get themselves up for this week, and the clock was against it. Obviously, with the travel and the 6 days, it was going to be a tough game to get up for. So we missed those three, but with a bit of luck. I'm not sure about Mitch either, so there's probably a couple of guys who are going to be tests for this week, and we'll see what happens in the next 48 hours and lick our wounds and get ready for Freo.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.